Oh yeah, put your pants on. For goodness sake. Hey,
I don't have pants on.
We're live.
No one has pants on. That's the beauty of this whole thing.
You can't tell.
I actually don't have pants on.
Have shorts on, right? Right?
Yeah, I have shorts on.
Oh yeah.
You want me? I'll take them off.
This is how Roger makes jokes.
Have some breeches, some draws.
Well, I don't have technically pants on.
I have a jerkin.
Did you just make barfing noises at me, Roger? What was that about?
Arf.
What are you saying? I will literally murder you through this computer screen.
If you do, that should be a Patreon level, Tom. Leverage.
Roger thinks everything should be a Patreon level.
My mom got me a funny coaster. It says, "Never go to bed angry. Stay up and plot your revenge."
No, I did that.
I was like, that is perfect for me.
But Jen said I should stop. So I stopped.
You stopped what? Plotting your revenge?
Because I get angry and I let it stew over for a couple of months. Remember when I had that entire plan to get back at the toll guy at the oh wait, I probably shouldn't say too much.
Yeah, don't say where.
To get back at the toll guy?
Well, no, it was at the parking garage, and I just had this big thing. I figured out how to hide my tracks, how to block out the cameras.
It's like writing the angry email and not sending it, though. As long as you don't act on it, just get it out of your system.
Or write the angry email and email it.
Or Veronica's way of doing it. Veronica's spin on that.
I try a different spin where you send the email
to multiple people who weren't even involved.
And then you publish a picture of it on Twitter.
on your Tumblr blog of angry emails I sent today.
.tumblr.com.
Well, you could act it out, and then you could start a new blog. Behind the bars with Veronica.
Or YouTube channel where you act out your angry emails.
Yeah, I like that.
Oh, maybe that could be a business where you basically get a bunch of out of work actors and you like reenact like a revenge fantasy of someone. There has to be.
That would be funny.
There's a problematic.
Mm-hmm.
You can just stop there. There's a lot of those.
Like, I don't know. It doesn't sound good. All right.
Okay, friends.
I want to lay back in my chair more, but the camera angle's bad. I want to recline, but I don't want you to see my stomach there. That's better.
Right. Good.
Comfortable. Okay.
Everybody got their face on? Their game face?
This is going to be.
Okay. Here we go.
The Daily Tech News Show is brought to you by people like me, not outside organizations. To learn more, go to dailytechnewsshow.com/support.
This is the Daily Tech News for Monday, November 13th, 2017. From DTNS headquarters in Los Angeles, I'm Tom Merritt.
And from Studio Feline at the beach, I'm Sarah Lane.
And from San Francisco affiliate, I'm Veronica Belmont.
And risking it all on Monday the 13th, our producer, Roger Chang.
It is me. I am 15, 20 minutes away from the beach. I have nothing. I don't know what that is.
Why is this Monday?
I don't think that's at all true.
30 minutes. It takes me about 30 minutes.
Yeah, I'm like 15 minutes away from the beach. So
yeah.
Is it?
Wait, I'm still needing to know why this episode is spooky.
Monday the 13th.
Oh, just the 13th. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
45 minutes.
It's a lucky day. Let's actually talk about some tech things you should know. Qualcomm and Broadcom are off again.
Aww.
Qualcomm has rejected an acquisition offer from Broadcom, saying that not if they were the last chip maker on it. No, saying the offer dramatically undervalued Qualcomm. Qualcomm's in the middle of finalizing an acquisition of NXP Semiconductors as well, so they're really not looking for a relationship right now.
I'm not one to tell them to settle, but they should probably settle.
The U.S. state of Missouri's Attorney General announced he would investigate Google for antitrust violations, including allegations it misappropriated content from rivals and demoted competitors' websites. Who is complaining about this, you might ask? Yelp sent complaints to all 50 states in September, accusing Google of copying images without permission.
You could say they yelped about it.
Oh, you can make jokes and everyone will laugh, but I can't make jokes. Anyway, the Google Pixel 2 XL has some more display issues, according to some Google product forums. This time, unresponsive touchscreen edges. This is likely because Google software is trying to reject accidental touches. The company says a fix is coming in a software update.
Just the hits keep on coming. There's just crackly speakers on the iPhone 10 now too. Biggest shopping day in the world happened Saturday in China. Black Friday is nothing compared to Singles Day. Singles Day set brand new records. Happens every year on November 11th. 168.3 billion yuan for Alibaba. That's up 39% from last year. And 127.1 billion yuan for JD.com. That's up 50%. We're talking $20 billion each here.
Wow.
I mean, is the whole point that you get something for yourself? Because
or
you're single?
others. It used to be about being single and like, hey, let's buy gifts for people who are single because they don't have anyone. It has nothing to do with that anymore. Now it's just get deals.
It's just
It's a shopping
stay to
holiday.
get a deal. Got
Yeah.
it. Okay.
All right, here's some more top stories. Sarah, take it away.
All right. Apple Insider reports that KGI analyst Ming-Chi Kuo is telling investors that Apple will come out with 3 edge-to-edge screen iPhones next year. So here are the deets. 5.8-inch OLED phone would be an upgrade to the current iPhone 10. Then there would be a larger 6.5-inch OLED phone, according to Kuo. Less expensive 6.1-inch LCD phone. So all 3 new models would use Face ID and have no home button. I mean, I don't know. At this point, if anyone using the iPhone 10 is okay with not having the home button, I don't see why Apple would continue it at all.
That's one of the reasons I'm holding on to my 7 at this point. I played around with the 10. I just couldn't get into it.
Really?
Yeah, I'm okay with waiting for a while longer. Maybe I'll come around, but I just don't have a super compelling reason to upgrade right now. So I'm going to save me the $1,000 or so.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's a perfectly reasonable expectation. And maybe by next year, you'll say, my old phone's getting old, time to upgrade. Would that make any difference if you're like, oh, crap, but none of them have home buttons?
No, I don't think it would. I think it would really have to be like my phone would just be so degraded or forcibly degraded by Apple's secret conspiracy to slow down your old phone so you have to upgrade, which I believe
Which is true, by the way.
True.
It's very much not true. We've talked about why on the show before.
No, it's true. Conspiracy.
It's true, Tom. Everyone knows it.
It's true to me. Yeah, I don't know if it would stop me. Maybe someday there will be a competitor that I like enough to switch, but I guess I am really truly stuck in the Apple ecosystem for the time being, but doesn't mean I have to upgrade.
Yeah, I think it makes sense to me that we'll just have one interface for devices. This gives me the idea that the iPad losing the home button is probably going to happen too, whether it goes LCD or OLED, that this is just the way they want to go. They want to have one interface system for all their new devices. So I like the idea that they've got an
interface, like iPad versus iPhone. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. It makes a lot of sense.
The iPad is, it's a newspaper, right? Like it's a form factor that I feel like needs a home button maybe more than a phone does, but I don't know. I haven't seen it.
Or maybe not. Yeah. I've actually been really craving a big iPad for a while now because I have felt the need to want to look at magazines and read things on my device, and my phone just doesn't feel like it covers it anymore. So maybe that will be the thing that gets me used to it. Who knows?
I had an iPad with a broken home button at one point and turned on the accessibility function that lets you do gesture control. I didn't miss it. I'll be honest.
There you go. SoftBank and Dragoneer have confirmed to TechCrunch an agreement to invest in Uber contingent on being able to buy enough shares from employees and shareholders. TechCrunch says the tender offer for shares will launch November 28th and last 20 business days. As part of the agreement, co-founder Travis Kalanick will require board approval to appoint replacements to the 3 board seats he controls.
Well, so 3 important things that I can take out of this. One is that Travis Kalanick got put in a corner. He can no longer stuff the board with his friends, although he's got a couple of friends that he put on there before. But they've locked him down to a certain extent. Also, employees can cash out now.
Yeah.
That'll be interesting to see how many employees stick around if they can like, hey, let's get rid of some of our options to SoftBank. And of course, SoftBank taking a huge stake in Uber while they also have a huge stake in Ola, and SoftBank getting into transportation in a big way.
And who's Dragoneer?
That would be something for us to have looked up before the show.
I'm sorry.
I've heard the name before, but I don't remember what they do.
I just, it's just so funny. Like as this whole thing has progressed, it's like SoftBank, Uber, got it. I'm following along. Dragoneer, never heard of it.
I mean, they're an investment group, but other than that, I don't know anything. Quick search. Dragoneer is a long-only, growth-oriented public and private investor based in San Francisco.
Okay.
So they're U.S. Got it.
Yeah, there you go.
All right. Well,
but dragons, that's cool.
it is. I love the wording. Travis Kalanick will require board approval to appoint replacements for the 3 board seats he controls.
Yeah, well, because
who controls the actual decision there?
He added
controls the controllers.
He added 2 board members, and he's like, "These are my board seats. You can't do anything about it." So what they're saying is, great. You can appoint your board members, but we can overrule you if we don't like them.
Well, it might be the beginning of the end of an era. Let's just put it that way.
Yep. Ad Age reports Amazon is developing a free ad-supported version of its Prime Video streaming service. This is sources telling them that. Ad Age says Amazon is considering even giving content creators their own channels on the service, kind of similar to what you have now with Showtime or Stars when you can add them. And then Amazon would share ad revenue in exchange for the channels providing a set amount of content per week. So it wouldn't be quite as open to, say, a YouTube, but it would allow for wider partnerships. And it sounds like the idea would be it's not exactly the same content you get in the premium version of Amazon Prime Video either.
Yeah. So how would the content be different, I wonder?
Yeah. So
it seems like this is just for people who are like, oh, Amazon Prime, I don't do that. I don't need that. So they're kind of missing out on a lot of original content that Amazon is starting to get accolades for. So or just wider access.
Yeah, if I were to design it, I have no idea what Amazon might be planning. I would get some movies and TV shows because there is more and more of a chance to syndicate those into a service like this. Roku's doing it, for instance, with their free app where you can watch movies for free that are ad supported. That may get some people to try it because they see a movie they want to watch. And then you put like previous seasons of Man in the High Castle and all of the Amazon Prime originals and say, hey, if you want to catch up on the current season, upgrade to Amazon Prime.
Gotcha.
Makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense. Well, since we're talking about content, let's talk about ESPN doing something I will never watch. ESPN is recording a shorter version of SportsCenter for users of Snapchat. Each episode will run 3 to 5 minutes and be updated twice daily.
I would watch that if there was a baseball-only version of that.
Well, or would you watch it during baseball season?
It makes everything so sensational and stupid.
I don't know.
What SportsCenter does?
No, Snapchat.
Oh.
Everything that people are creating for Snapchat always such a turnoff. But
you mean like in the stories, the partner content?
Yeah, it's all just sort of clickbaity and whatever. But Tom, I know you have some thoughts about this.
Here's why I would think. Here's what I was like. Ooh, if it was like this, I would do that. Is I don't have time to sit down and watch a whole half hour of SportsCenter. But like Veronica said, especially during baseball season, I might want to get like a real quick catch up. What happened yesterday? And if it was that, if it was like, here's the scores and highlights in 5 minutes of everything that happened yesterday, I'd be into that. If it was not sensationalized, if it was just like boom, 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 info, this is what you need to know.
Yeah, because I get the ESPN tips based on my content filters from IFTTT. So I get anything that mentions the Giants, ESPN. I get an ESPN story. So if I could do it like that, where I only get stories about the stuff I want to see stories about, that would be cool.
Yeah. Fred in our chat room says, this is Snap Center.
It's pretty good. Changing direction a little bit, John Zimmer, president of ride-hailing company Lyft, told the Toronto Star that Toronto will be the first market outside the U.S. for Lyft starting next month. Lyft has begun signing up drivers there, and Zimmer said he expected Toronto to become one of the top 5 markets overall. Wait, Lyft isn't available in Vancouver? I could have sworn I was using it there.
Lyft has been U.S. only this whole time.
Oh.
You were using Lyft, the elevator, because you were in
because more
because you were going vertically between floors.
Yeah, that's why it will only take you up and down.
Of course.
I wonder why Toronto. I mean, big city.
Big city. Yeah.
And
probably the regulation stuff. I think
was in Toronto a year ago, and Uber's definitely there. Works like a charm. So I wonder if it's more of like a proof of concept where Lyft felt like the demand was outweighing what Uber could provide, and that would be a good place to go.
Well, yeah, and also maybe the regulations.
The fact that Canada and the US are, next to each other. I don't know.
Well, Lyft has generally been partnering so that if you are, using Didi Chuxing in China, when you come to the US, it'll say, hey, we can plug you into the Lyft network. And that seemed to have been their way of doing expansion. But I guess because it's North America, because it's, a similar system in lots of ways, they want to have control over that Canadian market. Be interested to see if they do the same with Mexico. Hey, folks, if you want to get all the tech headlines each day in about 5 minutes, be sure to subscribe to dailytechheadlines.com. You can get it as a podcast. You can get it on the Amazon Echo as a flash briefing. You can get it in the Anchor app by downloading the Anchor app, and through the Anchor app, you can get it on Google Home. All the things you need to know each day in less than 5 minutes. Keep up to date. Keep up to speed at dailytechheadlines.com. And that's a look at our top stories. All right, so Vietnam security firm BCAV, or BCAVE, or BCLAV, as the Ars Technica spelled it, previously showed how to spoof facial recognition from laptop makers at the 2009 Black Hat conference. It was an exploit they developed in 2008. They have a history of doing this sort of thing. So they're someone that people know of. They've done things before that have been vetted. They have a blog post showing a face mask they developed that can spoof Apple's Face ID. Now, it makes use of a 3D printed plastic model of the face that they had to scan the target's face. Now, they say it only takes 5 minutes or less to do this, but they did have to have access to the face. They use some special processing on the cheeks and around the face where there are large skin areas. They don't say what that special processing was. 2D pictures of the eyes and mouth, not even 3D there, and a silicone nose model made by an artist that they then sort of adjusted when it didn't work at first. And they have a video showing the phone unlocking for the mask. And they're saying, we've spoofed it. It is not secure for billionaires and government officials. It's probably fine for the majority of people, but don't consider this a legitimately secure solution. This is very similar to what happened with Touch ID. If you remember when Touch ID came out with the 5S, within 48 hours, there was a hacker collective who had shown how to lift a fingerprint. You didn't even have access to the person's finger, and create resin copies of it that would unlock the iPhone. So Touch ID is considered a success despite that. Even if this is for real, I imagine that Face ID would still be useful for most people who, and you would have to have better access to someone's face to
well,
be
that's
able to
the thing
pull
is
this off.
like when I read this, I'm like, okay, well, if somebody wanted to spoof me and create this like 3D, mask of my face, like, well, that's probably a personal issue I have with that person. But like, how often are people going to be like going after a certain specific person's identity based on their physical face?
I mean, that's really the problem. If you're going to be targeted for anything, you're going to be targeted. And this goes back to whether it's, the fingerprint recognition or facial recognition or, two-factor authentication or, any kind of security measure. they're all just barriers. And most of the time, if you're being specifically targeted, there is some way that they're going to find to get around that. And you can try to mitigate that and protect yourself after the fact too, in any ways that you can. But we have to assume that all of these things are basically just stopgap measures to make it more difficult for someone trying to hack it, and to make yourself less vulnerable to those kinds of widespread attacks that tend to happen over the internet from time to time. But if there's someone who's really out to get you, if you are a public person and they can map your face in this way that they're showing that they can now do, or if they can use tape to pick up your fingerprint and make a 3D resin print of that after the fact, well, they're probably going to find other ways to get you. So it's just about taking the precautions, making yourself as difficult to target as possible, and assuming that there's always going to be ways around almost any security measure.
There are big questions too that BCAV plans to have a press conference later this week, and maybe they'll get answered there. But there are questions about the training method that was used here, because Face ID can adapt as it goes along. People, including Dan Gooden at Ars Technica, have said, well, did you use the first scan and then try to break in, because that's a less perfect scan? Did you use the mask and then put in the passcode? Because that would start to train Face ID to think that the mask was close to the real thing. That could affect that. And I would hope they would say, no, we didn't do that, but they won't. And they have not yet answered a lot of these questions. And so some people are a little curious. They're saying, look, we don't think BCAV are shysters, but we have a lot of questions that they have not given details for about how this process works before we can legitimately evaluate how much of a threat this is or not. Given what they have told us, if I assume, okay, let's just assume that this mask had nothing to do with the training. The training was after weeks of use, so it should be really accurate. Does that mean that this is less secure? It's more secure than Touch ID from what I can tell, because you have to get a good 3D scan of someone's face, which could be done and surreptitiously if you're close to them. They argue that you might be able to do it with some 3D modeling if you have enough photos of the person, but is way harder than lifting a fingerprint. And certainly if not to get too morbid, but we have talked about how if you have a corpse, you can unlock Touch ID as long as that finger is
or if you're asleep,
still warm enough, or asleep.
The first 48, I hear.
Yeah. And Face ID
for Touch
ID doesn't work in either of those because the eyes are closed.
Well, can't you just
I guess you can pop the eyes open, but Apple says that you have to be alert and looking at the phone, and the AI can tell that. This mask, if this turns out to be a legitimate hack, would indicate otherwise.
Right, because if you're wearing the mask, I mean, it would be very difficult to fake eyeball interest, right?
Yeah, well,
so
it's 2D pictures of the eyes.
Yeah, is it not as important as they thought it was?
This is why we need to know a lot more details about this, because if this really works the way they say it does, the fact that it was able to use 2D pictures of the eyes and the lips goes against the depth sensing that Apple says they're doing.
Well, and it also calls into question, I mean, think of what the discrepancy in quality of a picture of someone's eyes would be. So if they're just, if it's going from just regular images of people's eyes and I don't know, it seems like it would work sometimes, but
yeah,
wouldn't really be a widespread problem.
Well, and that is what BCAV is saying. They're clearly saying, look, I mean, if you read their blog post, they're like, this is not secure. Apple's wrong. It's not secure. But what they mean is this is not 99.99999% secure. If you're in a sensitive position, you should not rely on Face ID to secure your phone. And frankly, before they came out with this blog post, I would have said that already, because Face ID just hasn't been put through enough paces. If you are, an NSA agent or a billionaire business person, then you probably shouldn't rely on new untested security to secure your private information. So have a nice long passcode on there anyway. I don't think this changes that for me.
I also just really hope 3D printing doesn't become that's what spammers use to make a cast of your face and then steal your identity.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like these technologies are developing in tandem, like in parallel to like just make everything worse.
Well, that's what we here at DTNS try to prevent. Like, we're here to help you understand this stuff, so you aren't out there being one of those people who's saying like, "Oh, I heard those 3D printers help thieves unlock iPhone 10s," because that is definitely not what's going on here. We don't even know how they use the 3D printed technology, or if it could even be traded. Could they take their scan and like send it to somebody else who could then replicate it? I don't know.
Yeah, who knows? I mean, if they start selling them on the 3D like MakerBot markets, like buy a general face that is a 50% success rate in unlocking iPhones with Face ID.
You start a dark web business called Facebook, where you can look up. Oh wait, that's already taken.
No, it's a net state, Tom. That's what Facebook is, a net state.
Yeah. Face trade, face exchange, e-face.
And then would my face be a citizen of the what did you call it? A net city state?
The net state? Yes, it would.
State?
In fact, that's the number one way that people recognize you.
All right.
Your profile picture.
Well, the upshot here, folks, is that if you are not in a highly secure position, you're probably okay using Face ID. In fact, it's probably more safe than Touch ID. If you are in a highly sensitive, confidential position, you shouldn't have been using it already. But this certainly isn't going to do anything to change that. Thanks to everybody who participates in our subreddit. You can submit stories and vote on them at dailytechnewsshow.reddit.com and facebook.com/groups/dailytechnewsshow. What's in the mailbag there, Sarah Lane?
Glad you asked, Tom. This one comes from Christopher. He's an associate on our Patreon, so thank you for being an associate. He says, on Friday's show, Sarah mentioned getting a lot of texting spam. We were discussing the chat bot wasting spammers' time on iPhones, and I was sort of like, is that really the right answer? Blah, blah, blah. You can set up both SMS and phone spam blocking, says Christopher, by using various apps. For example, Nomorobo. There are others that do just calling, for example. Truecaller does that. After being installed, though, if you go in your settings under iPhone in Messages, there are options to turn on filtering, kind of like how ad blockers in Safari work. You enable it for SMS, and then the Message app will show two lists, one for normal, one for spam messages. And then Christopher says, pretty sure Nomorobo requires subscription, but there might be others to check out. I had not heard of any of this stuff. So thank you, Christopher.
I use Hiya and Truecaller, and Truecaller does do text messaging spamming now as well.
Oh, awesome.
I believe that they just launched it. I'm actually looking at it right now, but that was pretty cool. I didn't know that was a thing that existed. Or at least one of them does. I have like 2 or 3 of these things on my phone right now. It might be Hiya actually that does the text messaging. But it's been, I don't have the separate list though. I guess I have to turn that on. I think that would be kind of
yeah. It seems like it's a pretty simple settings.
I get a ton of spam calls.
But yeah, I mean, anything at this point, I just don't answer calls on my phone. But that's not really the answer either.
It's not a good answer. It's not a good answer. But you know, the voicemail transcripting stuff has really helped. I missed a very, very important call for like 4 days until I finally looked at my voicemail and realized and read the transcript. And then I was like, oh, I should have answered that. Be warned. That was just my warning that I put out into the world. I don't answer calls either because like 90% of the calls I receive are spam at this point.
I have developed like an internal algorithm about whether I should answer or not. For instance, I had dropped off something at the frame shop last week, and I got a call from a Santa Monica number I didn't recognize. The frame shop's not in Santa Monica, mind you. But I was like, you know what? Today's about the day they would call. Their number might accidentally show up Santa Monica because it's close. Gonna answer it. Totally was the frame shop. Like, I've had to develop this talent of knowing. And then sometimes I look at it, I'm like, not expecting a call from the vet or the eye doctor. So no, I'm not gonna answer that right now.
Yeah.
Well, and a lot of this would be solved by us just putting contacts associated with numbers, but that's hard too.
I mean, I do that.
So
I
try to as much as possible, but I still, it's hard to keep up.
And a lot of offices like have multiple numbers because they have a phone bank and they don't all show up as the right.
Yes. My dentist office has especially like 40 medical numbers they call me from. I never get it right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you, Christopher. And I believe he wrote, I hope that helps you a little in French.
He did. He did.
that's-
Tom,
yeah.
do you want to give that a whirl or?
No.
Okay.
No. You?
Try to put you on the spot. No, thank you.
Well, we'll see. Hey, thank you, Veronica Belmont, for joining us. If folks want to find out more about what you got going on, what should they do?
Oh, I don't know. VeronicaBelmont.com is the place for all the things.
And we have swordandlaser.com that Veronica and I do together. If you want to check that out, go do that as well. IRLpodcast.org.
Yes.
And we need your help, folks, picking one of our holiday specials. Every year, we run special episodes between Christmas and New Year's. And like usual, we're going to do a prediction show where we see how well we predicted things last year. We're going to do so we do a prediction show and a predictions results show, one where we look back at last year, a listener co-host show. But what should our other special be? Our advisor level patrons have narrowed it down to 5 options, and you get to choose. Anybody can. You'll need a Patreon account, but you don't even need to be supporting us. Although, kicking in $1 would be nice. Patreon.com/DTNS for anybody who wants to vote on what one of our holiday specials should be. That's patreon.com/DTNS.
And if you have anything else to tell us or ask us or anything in between, please do. Our email address is feedback@dailytechnewsshow.com. We are live Monday through Friday at 4:30 p.m. Eastern, 21:30 UTC at alphageekradio.com and diamondclub.tv. And our website is dailytechnewsshow.com. Bookmark it.
Tomorrow, we'll ask Patrick Beja to read the end of Christopher's email. Talk to you then.
This show is part of the Frog Pants Network. Get more at frogpants.com.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.
Good show, you guys.
Good show. Enjoyed it.
Well
Good
done.
shoe.
Now, Veronica, I know you got to get out of here, so
I can pick. I can see.
you want to help pick the title?
Right.
This is
Lyft
Snap
gets
Center.
this. You want that one, or you just like that one?
I just picked that one randomly. It's the first one I saw.
Lyft gets an A. Get it, an A, because it's in Canada. Stock unmasking Face
That's
ID.
kind of a good one.
Yeah.
Amazon subprime. Need a Lyft A. Peeking behind the mask of Face ID. Spooky Monday. Broadcom. Qualcomm. Let's call the whole thing off. Tom doesn't miss home.
But
Parentheses button. There be Dragoneers. Imagine Dragoneers.
Who are the Dragoneers? Everyone's like,
It's
no,
it's
Sarah,
like a
stop
spin-off
that.
of Imagine Dragons. It's the one guy. You can't go home on iPhone X. Add Amazon Prime. Give Lyft Vancouver to Lyft. Face ID
It was
book. It's in
Toronto,
that
but yeah.
state. Singles Day. They should settle. 30 minutes or less from the
I
beach.
laughed. Did you not hear me laugh?
No, nobody laughed. Dead
I totally
silence.
laughed.
Dead silence. It's fine.
Wait, laugh on what?
My joke.
They should settle.
They should
just
settle.
But it was like they should set like relationship wise and
Right.
also in
They should
court.
just give up and settle, but also settle in court. No, I thought that was
now
fun.
I think it's really funny. I'm sorry I missed it.
It's okay. It's okay.
So right now, Lyft gets an A.
Yeah.
Is winning.
I like that one. Let's do that one.
Okay.
Okay.
Lyft gets an A.
Let's
A?
get an A.
All right. I gotta go.
Okay.
Okay.
Dick off
See
A.
you-
I'll see you guys
So wait,
later, eh?
Bye, Veronica.
Bye.
Bye.
See you next time.
Wait.
And then there were 3.
Oh wait. So there's no Veronica on the 27th.
And there were 3.
Well, I mean, there will be a Veronica. She just won't be on our show, right? Or do you mean she's?
Yeah,
weeks
she's
out
not.
of there?
She's not perishing.
No, she's out the 27th.
Okay. All right.
Oh, goodness.
Right?
Oh,
That's what she told me.
Good.
Secrets. So many
From the
secrets.
22nd to the 2nd, she's missing 2 exciting weeks of DTNS. Exciting, I tell you. All right, I gotta find. I put on that Monday. That's exciting. It's sassy.
Ooh, good stuff.
Who's calling?
It's actually not a phone call. It's a guy I know made some atmospheric music for me.
Ah,
You know, just like if you're telling a sad story, music that would go under the story kind of stuff.
okay, yeah, like
Oh,
a
yeah,
music
he
bed kind of thing.
sent me like a Dropbox folder of all sorts of stuff.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Bad music.
Yeah, that music and podcast doesn't just write itself. Gotta go
Weird
get
that way.
it.
Yeah. Pod safe music. That's how Jonathan Colton got his start.
Really?
Writing
I mean, not the
podcast
only way,
music.
but he made a pod safe music, pod safe Christmas song. That was one of the things that got him some early attention.
Stuff is so good.
And Code
I
Monkey.
love it. Sorry. Okay, I'll do this for you. I love music. So
Lazy Monday.
we're going to talk about CES. Oh, no, we're going to talk about that later.
We are going to talk about CES. We should probably talk mostly off the air. But
Until we
yeah,
know what we're doing.
yeah. But we're
Wow.
probably going to have something happen at CES. We don't know what it is because we have to talk about it.
Ah!
Exciting.
Yeah.
Come aboard.
That's kind of
All right.
We're expecting you.
Cruise director Merritt.
The
Come
tech
aboard
boat.
the CES train.
Well, Roger kept saying exciting, and that got exciting and new, and then
Oh no, I'm just saying. Veronica's missing two.
exciting and new.
So wait, are you Captain Stubing or Julie, the activities director, or are you Gopher
I'd be Julie's cool. I'd be Julie or Isaac.
or Isaac, the bartender?
Julie and Isaac were always my favorites. Gopher, Captain Stubing, Doc was kind of creepy.
I liked Isaac because he's always happy.
Yeah.
And
Isaac
I
was
think,
just like, man, leave me out of it. I just want to do my bartending job. Okay,
like, listen, I just need to mix drinks and drink it at the same time.
I don't want to be part of y'all's drama. And Julie was just trying to make people happy.
Yeah.
Who was
I think she was
Julie's, like, was it her cousin or niece? They brought on a kid character to try to.
Yeah, no, I thought it was Captain Stubing's nephew or something. Was it? No, his
It was a
niece.
Niece.
His
yeah,
niece.
a niece, but-
Somehow he basically got custody of her because of something with a family
That's
member.
what it was.
So-
It was Captain Stubing's kid, or not kid, but yeah.
not his kid, but a relation.
And but she helped Julie.
Yes, which is really odd because I guess child labor laws, federal labor laws, don't take effect as soon as you're out of.
As a family business, they're in international waters.
Yeah,
What show are we talking about?
Love
the
Boat.
Love Boat.
Oh yeah, I never watched that.
You never ever watched the Love Boat?
Don't you believe in love?
I wasn't allowed to watch like dramas about adults. I watched I watched PBS
Saucy
Wow.
sitcoms.
pretty exclusively.
I was watching Love Boat, and Sarah was watching Are You Being Served?
I love that show. Actually, Are You Being Served is a lot more
That would have
innuendo.
been
ridden than Love
also outside of my understanding at the time. It
Sarah,
kind
are
of
you
still
free?
is. Like half the time I'm like, Are You Being Served is like it's so British.
It's
I
great.
get half the jokes.
But what's interesting is they tried to redo it with the same cast, but they ran a B&B, and that was just total. It didn't have the same.
Right.
chemistry.
Yeah, it wasn't the same.
The Love Boat Fantasy Island crossover. It's the fantasy boat. Oh, speaking of fantasy, I finally watched Blade Runner.
Oh, you did. What'd you think?
I saw
I
that.
liked it. I managed to find it at a matinee locally for $7.50.
Nice.
But I really liked it. I was really impressed at the work they did to really kind of envelop the entire feel of the movie in that kind of dystopian
Mm-hmm.
atmosphere, which is really interesting because it's something that you really never saw too much of outside of the future LA, which I guess even got worse.
Well, yeah, because they had the whole
Future, but-
replicant war.
Yeah.
right? So there you go.
But like I was saying, it's like, man, the colorist, the guy or the colorists who did that movie, it's a tough job because you want to make everything look the same color.
Yeah, they really did. They matched the tone in a lot of ways.
And I was totally thrown off because I was expecting a different movie based on the trailers. I'm happy with what I saw.
Well, okay. That's high praise, folks, if you don't realize.
Yes,
Roger doesn't say he likes stuff if he doesn't like it.
Yeah, I usually
He
say
doesn't
that's
have that
right.
Midwestern Olive Garden review sensibility.
Oh, yeah. I could tell you about the Olive Garden.
Well, I don't know if you
Don't
guys
eat the
do you remember the famous like small
Oh, let me tell you about the Olive Garden.
small town Minnesota? There was a small town Minnesota newspaper that did a review of the Olive Garden, and it sounded nice, but people set it up like you have to remember that in this community you don't say anything mean. If you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. This is a scathing review, and basically it was a review of, oh, the Olive Garden had very good decor. The seats were very blonde. Like, it was just talking about nothing regarding the food. And it's like, oh, this person must have absolutely hated it.
Oh, MathNet on the chat room. I was mentioning Square One TV, and they had a on PBS, and there was a little skit, or not skit, but a little program they did on the show called MathNet.
Was that on 321 Contact?
No. It was Square One. Square One was their
Square
math
One?
show.
Square One was after 321 Contact.
Yeah, 321 Contact was interesting. It started.
remember
that was like 1980.
It started right at the beginning of 1980.
Yeah.
And then at the end, near the 90s, it got renewed for a third or fourth season, but as a French co-production. So that's why half of the episode bits that they did in the show were in France. But the great thing about, people don't realize, MathNet, a lot of the writers for that show were sitcom writers. So they wrote a lot of like sketch comedy.
321 Contact did the Bloodhound Gang, right?
Yes, they did.
And that's the basis
And that's
for the name
to
of the
this
show.
day how I know that water boils faster when you put salt in it.
And it melts faster too.
Because of the Bloodhound Gang.
I guess my brother always watched 321 Contact. I sort of absorbed it from the side, which is why I thought MathNet was part of it, because it probably went right into Square One and I didn't even notice.
There's 3 generations. The original one, they had a clubhouse or something that they all ended up in. The second one was the basement of Ricardo. And then the third one was just like the second cast of that show, 321 Contact. There's a younger brother, Paco. Was it Ricardo? That was his older brother.
You're talking about the Bloodhound Gang, which was like a little part of 321 Contact. Yeah.
But MathNet was great because that still holds up. You watch it now, you can watch it on YouTube. Like, the writing is fantastic. Jen and I are still constantly amazed 30 years later, because they make all sorts of like allusions, innuendos, and references that are like totally above any kid's head. But when they wrote it for the teachers or the parents watching with the kids.
Bloodhound Gang song. Yay.
I don't remember it being so dated.
Oh, I thought it was the bee's knees.
Oh, man. I mean, me too.
23 Skidoo.
The 321 Contact was,
it was a great show. It's one of the most.
It was like homework, but it was fun. Like you'd learn stuff and you're supposed to like remember stuff.
My memory of 321 Contact is sitting at the dining room table with my mom's typewriter, creating the daily newspaper for my 5th grade class that I volunteered to create, while my brother sat on the couch watching 321 Contact.
I remember there was an episode.
And there was also the electric company. Which
I love the electric company.
When I was really little, and they said, "Hey, you guys!" Like, I'd be like,
Have you watched it recently?
No.
There's a show with a lot of innuendo in it. Like,
why does everything have to have
No, it's
Go in
because I mean, again,
we
it was
didn't get it
written
as a kid.
by comedians, but it was
Yeah.
meant for kids. But it was also targeted at the parents, and they didn't want the parents to be bored, I guess. But like, it just come on, Lawrence Fishburne, Samuel L. Jackson, a bunch of others.
Oh yeah,
That was
Morgan
good.
Freeman on the Electric Company. Yeah.
Not Samuel L. Jackson, Morgan Freeman, and a few others. What was the other one? Remember Newton's Apple? It came out of St. Paul, Minneapolis. It was this
No.
guy in a sweater vest.
No, I don't remember that one.
No, I don't remember that.
We got the letter people in St. Louis.
Hmm.
Come and meet the letter people.
Did they teach kids how to spell?
Yeah, it was, all the letters were characters, and they met each other in
Aw, that's
Letterland.
cute.
Like and they all had something that helped them make their sound. So Mr. T had tall teeth, and he got his sound from the sound that makes tall
Mr.
teeth.
T. Did he have a mohawk?
This is pre
Oh,
A-Team.
But it was the
Rocky
same actor.
3.
No, it was not.
Oh.
Not at
Rocky
all.
Oh.
They were all like puppets.
Got it.
I was too
I'm
old.
trying to find the salt episode.
Mr. H had horrible hair, but Mr. J didn't have a sound, so Mr. H loaned his sound to Mr. J.
Do you guys remember the Great Space Coaster?
Oh yeah. Great Space Coaster.
Come on board. I used to remember it because it was the last show I could watch before I had to go to school.
My sister watched that. I don't think I ever watched Great Space Coaster much.
Great Space Coaster and Reading Rainbow were like kind of the same
My brother watched Reading Rainbow a lot.
era.
I
yeah.
watched Reading Rainbow because it was right at the dovetail of junior high and high school, and I watched a lot of PBS. I admit it. I missed out on Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego.
Yeah, that was after me.
Oh,
my brother
I
watched
have,
it,
I have
though.
that on
I played the game,
Yes.
but I don't
I played the
remember.
game, yeah.
Kids Incorporated was one my brother watched that I didn't really.
Yeah, see, that was after my time.
Yeah.
Totally after my time.
Yeah, when I was a little kid, it was Captain Kangaroo, Mr. Rogers, Romper Room, Sesame Street, Letter People, Electric Company. That was pretty much it.
Yep, watch some Romper Room as well. I was really little for that, but I always watch it because I wanted her to say my name.
Of course, yeah.
Did she ever say your name?
She said it a lot, actually.
I felt like she never said my name, but she had to have.
I mean, my name's Sarah, like there are
Yeah.
Sarah's. I remember once saying to my mom, she said Linnell. My mom's like, no, she didn't. No one's ever said that.
No,
Like, no, she did.
not likely.
I swear.
Well, it was a franchised show, so every market had its own version of Reading or Romper Room. Which is why
Later on, I think. I don't know if that was true.
Really?
at the
Like she
beginning.
was an affiliate and she just like,
like that there was different hosts in different markets. And they would
oh, so I only saw the one woman. Oh, I thought she was all of Romper
That's what
Room.
I used to think. And then when I would watch TV's bloopers and practical jokes, they would always show one with Romper. It was like, I've never seen that woman before.
Oh, well, that's so upsetting.
Nancy Terrell was the national hostess in the 60s and early 70s when it was seen on ABC-owned stations. Then they localized it after that.
Which is the ones
Wow.
I watched. Whenever there's trouble, they're there on the double. You know, the one thing I never understood about the Bloodhound Gang is, isn't that kind of dangerous to have a bunch of kids help you out with these cases with
Well, I guess they
criminals?
localized it in the 60s too, but there was a national hostess. Miss Nancy. All right. Hey, everybody. Thanks for hanging out and reliving childhood memories with us. We will be back tomorrow with more teenage memories, I guess.
Right, yeah, like who
Moves
knows?
forward.
Who knows
Yeah.
what we'll bring tomorrow?
Who knows?
Drama.
I know a bunch of you love the pre and the post show, and I'm very happy about that because it's our chance to just kind of talk about stuff. It's our talk show portion. Yeah. Thanks, everybody. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
Bye.
And you, I did that in reverse. Damn it.